Welcome to our lecture online. Now let's talk about the H2 regions. And yes, that's how you pronounce that. That's hydrogen 2, which means ionized hydrogen. And there are vast regions within the galaxy where you find those places where hydrogen has been ionized by nearby very hot blue-type stars that produce enormous amount of UV radiation. And those typically are also places where you have a lot of star formation. So what are those regions? Well, one of them is something we're very familiar with, and you can't really tell by this picture because it's kind of a very close-up picture, but this is a picture of the Orion Nebula, at least at a very small region of the Orion Nebula. It's a star-forming region. It's about 30 light years across. It's about 1,500 light years away from here, and it's the only nebula you can see with the naked eye. If you look at the Orion constellation and you find a belt, and then you have those three stars that form a vertical line, that's supposed to be the sword or the sheet of the sword of Orion. Well, the middle of those two stars, if you look carefully, you see a little fuzzy patch there. And that little fuzzy patch is the Orion Nebula, an enormous star-forming region, 30 light years across. And within that, because of the ionization of the gas and the dust that's in there, and the hydrogen gas that's in there, from the nearby very hot blue stars, that gas becomes ionized, and therefore we call it an H2 region. So how do we define it? It's a region, or H2 regions are regions containing ionized hydrogen gas, such as emission nebulas, right there, which have bright stars embedded within them that produce UV radiation, which ionizes the hydrogen within the nebula. So that's basically the definition. Some specifics about it noted that they mainly exist in the spiral arms, but some of them are also outside the spiral arms, but then of course mainly within the disk of the galaxy, not so much within the center, the center part of the galaxy. The highest concentration is at about 10,000 light years away from the center, and then starts diminishing as you go further out. So that's where you find most of them. So we need to start looking towards the center of the galaxy, and obviously after a few thousand light years away from where we are, we're about 28,000 light years away from the center of the galaxy, we begin to see not much of anything because of the obscuring of the gas and dust that's between us and what we want to look at. So most of this is discovered using radio technology, radio astronomy, or radio telescopes. We then look for specific signals that indicate there are those regions present there. So we use radio astronomy to find them. Some of them reach temperatures as high as 10,000 degrees. Now, of course, at that temperature, matter will begin to emit visible light, and so those things tend to be very bright. Now notice that the brightness does not come from a global spectrum of all the light and all the light colors of the spectrum, but it comes from very specific wavelengths from the jumping of the electrons that jump up and then they jump back down. They give off light at very specific wavelengths. So we see the light coming at the very specific spectrum emission lines. Now, still, they put out an enormous amount of light, and some of these nebulas are as bright as very bright clusters. The typical size, they're about 50 light years across. So Orion Nebula, even though it's a very large nebula, it's a very close nebula in our own backyard, so to speak, there's still very large nebulas out there. So typically they're 50 light years across. Some of them are as much as 1,000 light years across. So enormous regions of this dust and gas where the gas is being ionized by the nearby stars. Also, many of these regions also contain some of the heavy elements like helium, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen. So you can see that some of these are part of what we would then use for the terrestrial type planets. Of course, we need one more thing. We need some more metal. And well, we have oxygen and we need silicon to make the rock. So I guess not enough material to make planetary terrestrial planets unless we have some of the other elements there as well. Now also notice that the concentration of the heavy elements seems to diminish as you get farther and farther and farther away from the center of the galaxy. So we see more of these regions closer to the center of the galaxy, about 10,000 light years away from the center. That's where you have the greatest density. That's where you have the greatest density of the heavy material. And then as you go further out in the spiral arms, further away from the center, the number of these regions declines, the size of these regions declines, and also the heavy material within these regions decline as well. That's kind of the generality of these H2 regions, but they're vast regions throughout the galactic disk in all the spiral arms, If we see pictures of galaxies far away, like M51, the Whirlpool galaxy, you can see there's thousands and thousands of these regions within the spiral arms. Makes it kind of beautiful because you have the starlight, and then embedded among the starlight, you have the dark regions and then the bright regions, the H2 regions, where the gas is ionized by the nearby stars. That's what makes these spiral galaxies so beautiful. And that is the thing about H2 regions.
So we got one of those, or several of these in our galaxy also?
Oh, we have thousands upon thousands of these regions. So let me back off a little bit so see the board.
So do they make anything?
Stars. They make stars. Do they make anything? That's what they do. They make stars.
So what's so different about this versus stellar association?
So the stellar associations are the stars that have been produced together at the same time that form stellar associations. The regions where these are formed are typically what we call H2 regions, ionized hydrogen gas regions.
So the stellar associations are in there?
So the stellar associations are embedded within them if they're being formed, right? So if stars are being formed and stars are appearing together at the same time, then those are called stellar associations, and they're formed typically within these star-forming regions. So the stars are the associations after they form. Sometimes they can even form open clusters. Global clusters are no longer formed these days. And then the regions where that's happening tend to be the H2 regions, as we call them.
Is that why stars are mostly made of hydrogen?
Stars are mostly made up of hydrogen and helium because that's most of what's there. Yeah, 99% of what you see there is hydrogen and helium. And that's what stars are made out of.